97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock.
Hello, this is Michael Spedden, and thanks for joining us today on the 97underground.com Michael Spedden Interviews channel here on YouTube. There have been many requests from both listeners and guests for us to make available our artist interviews so they can listen again or share with others. You can find us on YouTube at 97underground Michael Spedden. Remember, the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Not only do I feature artist interviews, I feature songs you forgot you liked, classics that never die, beloved local, regional, up-and-coming, and underground artists. You can listen anytime, anywhere by downloading our free app from 97underground.com. Just do it. And now, today's episode. And welcome back to the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. And today we have Pete Evick with us. Pete is does a lot of things. He performs with Bret Michaels. He's a solo artist. He just released a brand new single called Your Last One. He's the father of Gavin Evick, who we've had on the show recently. And there's all kinds of other things you can say about him, but I'll stop hogging the microphone and turn it over to my guest here. So how are you, Pete? Good to see you.
I'm great, buddy. It's great to see you, man. Thank you for having me.
So it seems like you and I should have known each other years ago because we were just talking before we started recording here, and we were on pretty much the same scene together, right around the same year or time window.
Yeah,
Played a lot of the same.
There's no doubt we were at least in Hammerjacks together.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right.
Absolutely. And so you've got a show coming up in the Annapolis area. I'm at Ram's Head. That's a great venue, and I'm sure you know it well because you probably performed there a bunch of times.
Yeah, we've done it a bunch of times with Bret, and I've done it once with my. It's called the Ultimate Acoustic Rock Show, and it's me and Dean Kramer, another local guy, and Chad Stewart, who's the drummer of Faster Pussycat. And we started doing this thing, me and Chad, a couple of years ago, and we never rehearsed. Me and Chad have known each other for like 20 years, and both Bret and Faster Pussycat had a couple months off, and we called each other, and I said, "Do you want to do this? I have this idea. Do you want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And we went down. A friend of ours had a club in South Carolina, and I actually managed to book sight unseen, just from friends I knew. I booked 4 weekends in a row, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in December, and all the way through December and the first week of January. And we'd never rehearsed. We made a couple phone calls. We met in South Carolina the night before the gig. We wrote a list of songs we were going to do, and we got up and we did it. And from day one, we got lucky. There's some kind of, anyone that's seen it says the chemistry is very special. What we do is we do a chronological timeline. We start in 1978 and we go to about 1992, and we do one, maybe two songs from every decade, and it's all cover stuff. But we tell stories, but the stories are 100% true, and each song has to mean something to us. It's not like we aren't just picking Round and Round because it was a cool song, but it's all acoustic. So we do these hard rock. Most of it's hard rock, or we go to like some Bryan Adams and like Tommy Two Tone. We even do Duran Duran, but for the most part, it's guitar driven hard rock stuff, stripped down to these acoustic storytelling songs, and it's just everyone that walks out literally walks up and thanks us and tells us they can't wait to come back. And we've been to the Ram's Head one time before, and that was a big achievement for me because the Ram's Head is that storyteller theater type of place. That's exactly where the pros that do it, not that me and Chad are pros, but the legends that do that stuff do that room. And because we played it so many times with Bret Michaels, they gave me a shot, and then they asked us back, but the gig's on a Wednesday in February, and they took the chance. They seem to think we'll be able to draw on a Wednesday, or they wouldn't have done that. But if anyone out there is hearing me that likes live music and is a Faster Pussycat fan, a Bret Michaels fan, or a fan of me or Chad, come out and support this gig, man. Wednesdays are hard and tough, and
Mhm.
I'm begging anyone, just grab a ticket, and I promise you, you'll have the time of your life.
Hey, folks, and like I said, I always rally the listeners of my show to get out and support Mid Atlantic based acts. I spend a good amount of time promoting a lot of the folks that are playing around here, and this is no different. This is no different. You are, from this area here. Get out and support this guy, everybody.
Me and Dean,
Rams
me,
Head.
me and Dean both
Oh,
Mid-Atlantic guys our whole life. I've never, for all the success I've had and all the wonderful things I've done, I've born and raised in Virginia, and I've
mhm.
never lived anywhere else.
Right, right. And again, Rams Head is a great venue. It's a great venue, and it's set
Profound,
up well for that sort of. I think it lends itself well to your kind of setup. I think, and
very
acoustic
much.
gigs are fun too.
It's made for those kind of
Hmm.
places. Yeah,
And acoustic gigs are fun too. Taking and pulling a song down to its bare bones. And I
right.
did it for a long time myself too. And I play harmonica as well as guitar and
Oh,
bass.
do you
And
really?
yeah, yeah.
You ought to come to the gig and play some harmonica with us. I would love
Well,
it. We
not if
do
you don't want your crowd to run out in the streets screaming, but we'll see.
one of the songs we do at the end of the night is House of Pain from Faster Pussycat, obviously, with
Oh
Chad
yeah.
and the band. And
Hmm.
that's got an incredible harmonica part in it, man. Learn that part and come be part of the band, man. Come on.
Okay. Okay. Hey, you never know. You never know. But that's great that you're out there doing this. And the thing is, too, it also gives fans and listeners kind of an opportunity. It's sort of more of an approachable environment,
Correct.
where, people may not be as intimidated to come over and say hello.
Sure.
And, it's really great that again, really great that you're doing that. And again, I can't think of a better venue to do
Right.
that than Ram's Head. So absolutely get out there and see. And your website I have is evick.com.
Yeah, I got to tell you, we don't update that much. I'm so I do everything just on our social media stuff. Facebook, which is an old man's game now, I guess. I don't know, but I'm
Mhm.
an old man. But the website, I wouldn't go there for information. I would go to the social media platforms.
So go to your Facebook page, and then also I would say maybe for tickets or links to that, just to go straight to the Rams Head
Straight to
site.
Ram's Head. Yep, yep.
Okay. Okay, most definitely. Most definitely. Well worth checking out, folks. Please get out there. So tell me a little bit more about the story about your story here. You were playing on the scene around here. Somehow you end up in Bret Michaels' band. What's going on? What gives with that?
Well, so Brett grew up 87 miles from my house. He
Harrisburg, right?
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Straight up where I live in Manassas, you hit 66 and 81, and you're up there in less than 90 minutes. But or 15 out Route 15 through Frederick, Maryland. But Rabbit's Foot. Did you ever play the Rabbit's Foot?
I remember Rabbit's Foot, but I didn't play there now.
Me either, but I remember it. So, but I said that because of Frederick. But anyway,
Yeah,
so I was on the local scene, just like everyone else, and my band, some odd reason, had signed a record deal with Soul 3 Records in New York City. Richard Goddard is the guy that owned that label, who was a co-founder of Sire Records in the late 70s, early 80s, which
sure.
founded Blondie, the Go-Go's. He had a lot to do with Talking Heads and Nick Crenshaw and
Mm.
kinds of people. But he had signed us, and we were out there on the road touring, and the band broke up, and uh, and uh, I was reforming my own band called Evick. Some odd reason turned into Evick, and I have to backtrack a little bit. In 92, 93, when CC left Poison, I was only 19 years old, maybe just turned 20. But I did everything I could to audition for them. I found all the information. Actually, Michael Fath, you remember Michael Fath from the area?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Michael actually auditioned for Poison,
Hmm.
and uh, then he called me. He goes, "I know you love this band. I loved them. I loved them." He goes, "I know you love this band. There was reasons it didn't work out. Here's the information." And I sent my press kit, and I called the management. And a couple weeks later, they're like, "We love that you're from the East Coast. We love that you love Poison so much, but we have to go with this LA hotshot guy, Richie Kotzen." And Richie's such a badass, man. Like I couldn't have done that at 20 years old. I could, I get it. That record is amazing.
Hmm.
And so anyway, I kept that information. And then Bret went on a solo tour 23 years ago, and I called and got my band to be the opening act on several of the East Coast dates. And he would hear the band, he liked the band, and I'm trying to make the story short, but uh, then a point came up where he had a one-off gig in Detroit called a Detroit Hoedown or Downtown Hoedown. And he called me. He's like, I don't know that I want to fly all my guys from LA to do this one gig. You're closer to Detroit. Your band knows all the songs, right? I said, yeah, we know all the songs. And he goes, well, let's just do this gig. Completely unrehearsed. That's the most important part.
Wow.
Completely unrehearsed. And when he said it's just this little radio gig, his version of little radio gig and mine, two totally different things. When I think
Mhm.
of radio gig, I think of going into the station, playing for 25 guests that were invited by the radio station. Well, this was 15,000, 20,000 people outside.
Wow.
Yeah. And we did the gig, and it was probably fine, but it was a nightmare to me. It's one of those things where we play those Poison songs exactly like the record.
Hmm.
Over 20 some years of playing them, as a musician, songs evolve
Yes, they do.
and you don't realize they're evolving. So
Mhm.
Brett plays them the way he plays them now. We played them exactly like they're on the record, and it just wasn't perfect. It wasn't great, right?
Mhm.
And I remember thinking, well, that was that. That's the worst. That was the greatest and worst thing of my life. I had one chance, and that's it. And a couple days later, he called me up and he goes, how did you think that went? I said, I'm embarrassed. It wasn't great. And he goes, well, that's good. If you thought it was great, we'd have a problem. But if you, obviously you're pro enough to know what we did wrong. And he goes, let's try it again. And then he said, he goes, I have a Memorial Day weekend, which was like 2 weeks later, uh, playing um, at Starwood Amphitheater with Leonard Skinner, sold out crowd, 33,000 people.
Wow.
Again, no rehearsal, but we talked about it.
Okay.
And right before we went on, he said, Pete, I know your band, I know you're great. He said, don't go out there trying to be what you think that I like. Go out and be you. I like you. And we played the gig and we got to nothing but a good time.
Hmm.
He gave me a high five, and here we are 21 years later.
That's amazing. And the thing is, too, is that the fact, and I'm amazed by that story because the fact that you got the phone call and it was kind of a, back to the drawing board type of thing, or let's go to the film type of thing and see what happened and talk about it.
Yeah,
And then, you got a second shot at it. That
right.
is a rare thing in show business nowadays, especially when you're trying to get to that level.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, usually, when it comes to auditioning for movies or television shows, you get one shot. If you go in there and blow it, bye bye. Don't quit
yeah.
your day job. See you later.
Well,
But
he
this,
he also knew that him not rehearsing with us was it wasn't all our fault. We could obviously
right.
play.
Hmm. Well, and the thing is, too, is that, that was definitely baptism by fire. But,
Sure.
the fact that he was able to see that you were able to keep it together, you knew the songs and everything. Again, there was a little bit of a differential between the two of you,
Yeah, to the
but
audience, I bet nothing was wrong.
yeah, yeah,
But as a musician, you can feel when things are rubbing a little different than
yeah.
you
Hmm.
know. But it's a neat story,
Oh, it
and
is.
again, 21 years later, me and him, we've been through a bunch of different band members, but I'm his music director and
Hmm.
and his partner in a lot of different business things and projects, and he's turned out to be the best friend I've ever had in the whole world. But we've slept in Saddam Hussein's palace.
Wow.
We went to Iraq after he'd been caught, and we played the forward operating bases. They asked us to go to Iraq, and Brett said um, he'd been caught but not executed yet, and the war was still going on. And he said, "I'm not going to just go and play in Baghdad where it feels safe. If we're going, I want you to take us all the way out there to the forward operating bases." And we did. We took our whole band out there, and I'm talking one spotlight on this. It was like MASH. It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we would play. There was one night that the air sirens went off and they threw us down into this bunker.
Mm-hmm.
I have this picture that I stare at it sometimes still all these years later. Uh, they threw the band into the bunker and all of us were in these different corners. And we had with us a freelance photographer that had done some work in Rolling Stone.
Uh-huh.
And you always hear about wartime photographers, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This guy's not a wartime photographer; he's a rock and roll photographer. But I believe when you're a photographer of that level, you, you'll die. You'll die to get that shot, the famous shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're in this bunker, and there's this picture he took of me that if I would have been Eddie Van Halen or Steve Vai, and this picture was of them, it would be the most famous rock and roll guitar playing picture of all time. I'm
Wow.
sitting with my guitar in an underground bunker, 100 with my eyes closed, waiting to die because I don't
Wow.
know what's going on. But I'm just thinking I'm going to die. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And but all I can think about when I see that picture is that fucking photographer. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Like me and
Yeah.
Brett and Chuck and Ray, all four of us are sitting there saying prayers or whatever we're doing and thinking that moment's there and he was going to get that shot if he could,
Huh.
you know.
Wow. So this was like a USO, like a Bob Hope type of thing, or
It was part USO, but because we asked to go to the forward operating bases, other people had to get involved and it had to be something a little bit different. But
sure.
it started USO oriented. Yeah.
I see. I see.
We went out and
Wow.
played.
Wow.
We performed in Saddam Hussein's opera house in his main palace, and then that night we stayed there. We stayed in his palace and slept there. What a unique experience, man! And so my point to that is, like, me and Brett have been around the world, and we've done some of the most it's the stories I can't tell that are amazing. You know what I mean? And that's not just about raunchy rock of love stuff. It's just some of that stuff brothers take to their grave. But it's been an incredible ride. And at the end
Uh-huh.
of the day, I couldn't have done that by myself. And the fact that that guy, superstar, I mean, and he let me come along for that ride. I will be grateful to the day I die for that.
Excellent. Wow. That's quite a story right there. That is really a great story.
Thank you.
And
Go ahead.
I've heard, just all kinds of great things, both from your son and from other people just about him.
Yeah.
It sounds like you really got yourself into a good situation there.
Yeah.
And
But the other thing is we're a lot alike.
hmm
I mean, I don't own a private jet and 10 houses, but our brains, like you, me and Brett talk about all the time. It's that mid-Atlantic thing.
hmm
We all have a common way we were all raised, and him no different. You know what I mean? And so we share that upbringing. We talk about an East Coast basement. You know what an East Coast basement's like with the wood
hmm
steps and the cinder block walls, and where you have your band practice, right? And
uh-huh.
those common things are what bonded me and him on a super level. You know what I mean?
That is there's a certain there's a certain you know how they say it's like that thing. There's a certain thing about the Mid-Atlantic that's just unique to everywhere else.
Right.
And it's a
Right.
certain bond that I think we all have together.
That is. That's why Kix is in our world. Kix is the Rolling Stones. They're ours. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Oh, they sure are. They sure are. And again, too, and they treat others from the Mid-Atlantic very well. I've had both Ronnie and Brian on the show, and
And
they're both,
Jimmy's
yep.
a sweet, sweet guy, man. I
Hmm.
don't know if you follow my social media, but I was down in Florida doing a Brett gig the other day, and Shannon Larkin was at our show.
Oh, is that right? Is that right?
Yeah, I made a post with him, and
Hmm.
I'm way more excited than he is. The child in me just came out in those Rat Child America songs. I
Hmm.
was singing them, and it was a big show. We were doing it. It was an arena show. Night Ranger was our opening act,
Hmm.
and it's a 12,000 seater or something, maybe 10,000 seater, and I came off that stage like a child, and I knew Shannon when I was a kid, but he doesn't remember that. I was
Right, right.
a kid at the clubs talking to him, and
Hmm.
uh, yeah, there's something that bonds us all without
Yeah.
a doubt.
And I know, Kicks, we also have Wrathchild American. I know Poison and Wrathchild Used to play
Right.
together a lot in the
That's
early
right.
days.
Yeah, no, Brett talks about that a lot.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were together. They were together quite a bit. 'Cause I know a guy I played with when we were young. His cousin I think was a sound man for one of them. Don't have a name off the top of my head, but used to go. He would take him to go see him when he was a teenager. He'd just have him behind the soundboard so they don't get in trouble. But
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah.
but
Exactly.
absolutely. It's just amazing how things kind of go full circle. It's almost like a 6 degree of Kevin Bacon kind of
That's
thing we've got
exactly
here
it.
on the
Yeah.
East Coast. So you've just released a single called Your Last One. Why don't you tell us about this a little bit?
Sure, sure. The story is pretty interesting to me. Uh, might not be so interesting to everyone else, but uh, I I'm a gigantic Bon Jovi fan, and I also, as much as I'm I hate to use the word, but it defines us now, a hair metal guy. I
Hmm.
also like singer songwriter stuff.
Yes.
I'm a Mellencamp fan till the end,
Hmm.
and I'm a Springsteen fan till the end, right? And so I wrote the verses to this song almost 10 years ago, the idea for the verses. And the three different verses are three different kind of tales of my life, how do you say it? I'm so sorry. But autobiography, I want to say it, but I can't.
About you.
Yeah, yeah. But I want the word to come out of my mouth. I want the word, uh, autobiographical. There it is.
There you go. Bingo.
My brain can hear David Lee Roth saying it in an interview,
Hmm.
and I'm sitting here talking to you going, I've heard Dave say this. I can get this word out of my mouth. So, but so so each verse, like the first verse starts out with the lyric, I grew up in one of those towns Mellencamp sings about,
Hmm.
and that paints that picture about my hometown.
Yeah.
Right. And then the second verse talks about when I got married. Uh, I married this bombshell bartender at the age of 25. We were young and dumb, having fun, trying to get through life. I was Tommy, she was Gina, but that didn't last too long because living on a prayer isn't as easy as it seems in that old Bon Jovi song. So
Mm-mm.
I tie that into that, right? And then so there's my childhood, there's my youthful adult life, and then at the third verse I talk about uh, I always got that Springsteen song running in my head. I hope I don't end up doing all those things he said, like sitting around drinking, talking about the glory days while the moments that I'm living in slowly pass away.
Hmm.
And that was very important to me because the glory days song is so fascinating to me. I know so many people that love that song, and it's always been in my head. They're like all these people that cheer about, yeah, the glory days. If you
Hmm.
listen to those lyrics, he's telling you, don't be that guy. Don't
Hmm.
be the drunk at the bar sitting around just talking about it. At the end of his song, he goes, I hope I don't end up uh,
Hmm.
telling boring stories of. And so the what people hear about Springsteen's always been. It's funny with him with those songs. The
Hmm.
the, the Born in the USA is almost an anti-American song. It's a
Yeah,
war protest song,
it
but
is. Yeah.
every president on both the Democratic and Republican side always try to use it like as their theme songs.
I know. I know. Have you listened to it, guys?
Yeah,
Come on.
it's funny you say that. A couple of times we've had people that come up and tell Brett that Every Rose is their wedding song. We're like, the song's about a breakup. The song's about the girl cheating on him. Did you listen to the song?
I
You know?
know.
Yeah,
I
it's so
know.
weird. So it had those lyrics running around in my head for almost a decade, and
Hmm.
I've written the chorus over and over and over again. I knew what the chorus wanted to be. The
Hmm.
chorus is so right now from Van Halen is my all-time favorite song. Uh,
Hmm.
I think it's the best written song of all time. I think the message is important and gets lost on everybody. Right now, just live your life. Don't, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I wanted these stories in the verses to add up to this didn't work out the way it was supposed to, but live your life. Overcome and live your life. Life don't work out the way you plan, but don't
Hmm.
give up.
I'll throw another one at you. Iron Maiden. Don't
Wasted
waste
years.
your time always searching for those wasted
Oh,
years.
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Realize you're living in your golden years.
Exactly. Exactly. You're exactly right. And
Yeah. And that's a
it gave me chills, man. I forgot about Wasted Years. What a great song.
and the thing is too, and not to throw this blanket over our conversation, but you and I are on Facebook. You and I are in the same age group. And there are days on Facebook, when all of our buddies from the old days are on there, it starts to look like the obituary
Well,
page.
so let me get to the point, right?
Yeah,
So this year it's just been loss after loss after loss
I
after loss, right?
know.
And I've had high school friends, and then I've had friends of mine that CJ Snare from Firehouse was one of my good buddies, and
Yeah.
I was devastated by his loss because he was an amazing, amazing human being, right?
Hmm.
Bill Leverty, the guitar player, is one of my best friends, and Jack Russell, I knew Jack, but also high school friends have passed away, all these different friends, and just right before the end of the year, um, a guy named Robert Jr. Jones passed away, who was the husband of Jana Elias, who is the only person that's worked for Bret longer than me.
Mm,
She's been part of Bret's camp, and she's family and Junior's family. Junior was out with most recently with the Red Hot Chili Peppers,
sure, sure.
so he's a pro.
Yep.
He's you know, and he was in Brazil and he passed away, and um, so. I was it we were at we were I was in a hotel room in Nashville waiting to go to his celebration of life. And to be completely honest, transparent in the story, I was in the shower and I'm not this guy. I'm not a ghost spirit guy. I'm not in any way. It's you're never gonna catch me running around a haunted house or doing a seance. I'm not this guy, right?
Hmm.
Uh, a physical sensation pulled me out of the shower, and I
Hmm.
picked up my phone and I just started typing. And I wrote this chorus. This chorus was downloaded into my head and put in my phone. Like I'm literally standing there with nothing on, dripping wet, afraid of ruining my phone. And the chorus of the song came out after 10 years.
Mm.
There it was. And it had to be him giving me the message.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've actually given him writing credit in the song for the chorus. But the chorus is uh, so if you've got a bucket list, you better get all those things done. If
Hmm.
there's someone that you're thinking of, don't forget to send your love because yesterday's all fade away and tomorrow might never come. This
Hmm.
moment that we're living in might be your last one. And
Right.
I've been trying to say that for 10 years. And so
Hmm.
so I came home and I got the guys together and we recorded the song and produced it and put it out and it's being very well received. People for our age, that message speaks volumes to us. Exactly what you said. Every day Facebook looks like an obituary. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, some of these guys, again, lived hard up
Sure.
until the end. Others, had been trying to straighten things out. And it's just a shame, I guess, the unforgiving 50s, I guess is what we could
Right.
call it.
Yeah,
But
right. And I lived hard. I
mhm,
didn't do the drugs, but I drank and drank and drank a whole lot.
yeah, yep.
And and so you start to get I hate to say it, I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of missing out on my kids.
Yes,
You
yeah.
know, like for me, my body's old and beat up, and I've
Hmm.
personally done everything I could ever dream of in my life.
Yep. Hmm.
So I'm
I
ready to check out me personally if I needed to. But
sure.
but the idea of not seeing and spending the time with my kids is frightening. But I don't have the willpower yet to get as healthy as I could. I got to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm still working on that myself here. I've made some strides, but I'm not quite there yet. So, Pete, so I tell you what we're going to do. We're coming up on a hard break right now. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to plug your social media. Let us know about the show tomorrow night at Ram's Head. And I will play your single, your last one, after the break. I have another segment after the break, and I'll be sure to put it in there. So, tell us again where we can find out all about you on social media.
So you can go to, I have two Facebook pages. One used to be a personal page and one used to be a fan page. Now it just kind of meshes together. You can look me up as Pete Manassas Evick. And then you can also look up the official Pete Evick page. Instagram is just Pete_Evick. I don't do TikTok. I'm too old for TikTok. And then you can look up on Facebook and Instagram the Ultimate Acoustic Rock Show and
Hmm.
find out about that. And you just type my name and whatever will eventually come up. It's pretty easy.
And tickets for the show tomorrow night at Ram's Head, you can get at the Ram's Head website. Great. Well, Pete, it's been a pleasure having you here, and we're, guys, get out and see him tomorrow night. This is he's definitely a talented guy. He's got a great group together here, and you're going to have a good time. So, folks, we'll be back right after these words. You're listening to The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's Pure Rock Worldwide. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these.
Well, I grew up in one of those towns Mellencamp sings about, and I love it now, but spent a lot of time trying to get out. My father, he turned wrenches at the local dealership, while my mother bagged groceries until she got too sick. If there's one thing that they knew, life won't turn out the way you plan. So you roll with the punches and you do the best you can. So if you've got a bucket list, better get all those things done. And if there's someone that you're thinking of, don't forget to send your love. Cause yesterday's all fade away, and tomorrow might never come. And this moment that we're living in might just be your last one. Well, I married this bombshell bartender at the age of 25. We were young and dumb but having fun, trying to get through life. I was Tommy, she was Gina, but that didn't last too long. Cause living on a prayer ain't as easy as it seems in that old Bon Jovi song. And if there's one thing that I've learned, life won't turn out the way I planned. I get knocked down and get right back up and do the best I can. So if you've got a bucket list, better get all those things done. And if there's someone that you're thinking of, don't forget to send your love. Cause yesterday's all fade away, and tomorrow might never come. And this moment that we're living in might just be your last one. Springsteen song ringing in my head, and I hope that I don't end up doing all those things he says about sitting around and drinking, just talking about the glory days, while the moment that I'm living in slowly slips away. So if you've got a bucket list, better get all those things done. And if there's someone that you're thinking of, don't forget to send your love. Cause yesterday's all fade away, and tomorrow might never come. And this moment that we're living in might just be your last one.
And thanks again for listening to 97 Underground, the Michael Spedden interviews, and we hope you enjoyed today's show. Remember, download the free app from 97underground.com so you can listen to us wherever you go. The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Listen anytime, anywhere.
Metal.
Worldwide metal, 24/7. 97 Underground.